I think it was reasonably good because, as you know, it was just an interim budget, vote on account. So you can't really expect very large scale announcements on absolutely, path-breaking initiatives to come out from interim budgets. But auto industry really looked forward for continuity of policies supporting economic growth, and that's what has happened in this budget. Actually, for the EVs, 80% to 85% of the charging happens at homes. It is for the charging or at what we known as destination charging, that is at the offices or in parking in lots in malls, etc. Uh, but I think charging infrastructure is very important because it reduces the range anxiety amongst consumers, and that is what the finance minister has hinted at, that in order to have a faster adoption of EVs, it would be good to have large number of charging infrastructure in our country. As far as manufacturers are concerned, and Maruti Suzuki will be introducing its first EV next year, we are planning a combination of CPOs with also the home charging, as every OEM does. And we will make sure that the consumers are not inconvenienced, so that at least the range anxiety is not there and they can adopt the EV much faster in that case. Yeah, so I think EVs have, as far as passenger vehicles are concerned, the adoption rate is still very low. It's only about 2.1% this year so far. Actually, it is from data and some research of other countries suggests that around the 4.5% mark is when the inflection point comes, and suddenly you see the EV adoption rate increasing. That's expected to happen the year after next. Because we are currently only at 2.1% of adoption. It is expected that by 2030 in the passenger vehicles, India will be roughly having a EV adoption of 20%, and this adoption rate obviously keeps on accelerating once we cross the 4.5% mark. Yeah, so I think generally it has been found that tier 1 cities, the adoption is much faster. Yeah, and but obviously, it as it goes along, tier 2 and tier 3 cities will also come into play. We have observed in many of the countries like Germany and Norway, etc., exactly the same situation where you had the larger cities adopting it faster, but then once the technology takes root, then it is spreads in the other cities as well. Yeah, so I mentioned in 2024-25 we will have the EVX. Yeah, we had shown that EVX, showcased it in the Auto Expo last year, and currently, as I just mentioned, we are making plans to how to manage the charging infrastructure, and also to make sure that the customer interface and usage of the EVX is very smooth and they are not inconvenienced in any way. Yeah, so it's very important, obviously, because yeah, for localization and local manufacturing, you do require skill upgradation. You also require innovation. You also require not just the capacity of manufacturing or just the labor for manufacturing, but also the capability to innovate and design. And I think the provision in the current interim budget for 1 lakh crore for this fund for long tenor loans at low interest rates is very positive, and is very essential if we have to have a good base of manufacturing for the entire world. Yes, actually, we've been doing it for some years. So we have collaboration with many of the ITIs which have courses specially meant for automobile manufacturing, and that has and those people are then absorbed in the Maruti workforce. And we have been doing it for some years, and in some sense, in the Indian auto industry, it has become a role model system, which is what Maruti Suzuki had started a long time back. Yeah, so actually in the budget, the GST rates are not really announced anymore. Those were in the past before the GST regime, and the excise duty structure was also announced in the budget. But now it is left to the GST Council to make a recommendation, and that happens off the budget. So really, we were not expecting immediate announcements on the hybrids or the EVs or any on the vehicles as such. But having said that, it is true that EVs are GST is 5% because you have to encourage the adoption of EVs. I think hybrid is also a great technology, and we have to be technology agnostic in some sense, because hybrid, CNG, biogas, flex fuel, they are all good as far as fuel efficiency is concerned, and therefore their carbon footprint is less. So I'm sure the government is the best judge, and I think they will be looking at the matter very closely, especially when you see the hybrid adoption similar to EVs now, and hybrids at 3% duty on GST and EVs at 5%. I think we need to encourage all the fuel efficient technologies, and I'm sure the government will judge it accordingly. So PLI has been very good because it sort of encourages risk taking in production, and as well as the new technologies adoption. I think it's been fairly successful, although there have been some issues relating to the execution of the scheme. But I think the intent is great, and the amount of interest that it has generated amongst the auto manufacturers has also been very commendable. I think PLI schemes are here to stay. So many opportunities are there. Obviously, whether you look at technology or software, or AI, and support for continued support for infrastructure, and a lot of chances and maybe encouragement for private investments in capex as well, which hasn't happened in the last 3 years as much. Many opportunities, but from an automobile perspective, it will be very interesting because we see the government support for different type of for powertrains would actually also determine which way the direction the auto industry takes. Of course, one important thing is that the continued support for the rural areas is important for an overall economy point of view, because rural sales are becoming quite strong as far as the cars are concerned. And I think generally speaking, however, the thumb rule is that anything which is positive for the growth of the overall economy is also very positive for the auto industry overall. Obviously a landmark event, everybody looking forward to it. It's a place where experts meet, and from different industries, different walks of life, including from the government, from the policy making side, and etc. And therefore it's a confluence of ideas which is really gives you a very good view of the overall direction of the regarding any issue like the budget or the economy, for example. And therefore I'm looking forward very much to that event.